Well, the interview process for NFL jobs is heating up in Mobile, Alabama. Better known as the Senior Bowl, practices are underway in earnest as scouts and players make themselves known to each other. And some players who aren't known are trying to get noticed. Well, those are, of course, a number of top-end draft prospects like Will Levis and Tyree Wilson that are not attending this week. But those who are in attendance are doing what they can to secure a job on Sundays. And two guys who get noticed no matter where they go are former general manager Rick Spielman and draft expert Ryan Wilson. Ryan, give us a scene setter here. What's the mood? How are things looking in Mobile after a couple of practices?
Well, first things first, Jeremy, let's be honest. One of us gets recognized walking around Mobile, Alabama, and it's the mayor of Mobile, my man Rick Spielman here. He is insanely popular, which apparently people don't know him as well as we do, but whatever, that's a conversation for another time. But the most interesting thing to me this week, and I think Rick would probably agree on some level, is that this quarterback class ain't elite. Now, maybe someone steps up on day 3 of practice. We haven't seen much in the first 2 days from the quarterbacks and separates themselves. But it hasn't been a situation where in past years where you've had the Jordan Loves and the Justin Herberts and the Jalen Hurts here, even last year with Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Des Ridder, none of that showed up in terms of the quarterback position. All the best quarterbacks aren't here because they were junior eligible. And I think the rest of the group, the rest of the position players are the ones that have been able to stand out as a result, and that's good for them. But again, the quarterback class, while they're working hard, there are no first-round talents here as of yet.
Following practice Wednesday, there was a lot of buzz around how the defensive backs kind of stole the show. Rick, who stood out for you in that group?
Boy, I had a couple guys that really stood out. Brian Kelly's son, who actually did play down at the Senior Bowl before he went on to play in the NFL. He had a very good day. Yesterday he had a pick and he had a PBU during team period. But the guy I really thought stuck out so far was a kid that I didn't see on tape till late, Riley Moss. He's a corner out of Iowa. He has excellent length. He's a very good zone cover corner that reacts to the balls in front of him. Great anticipation. What really stood out to me is that they played him in a lot of press man, especially in these one-on-one drills, and he can turn his hips and he can really run. So I was very excited to see some of the things I saw from him down here.
Yeah, it's almost like Rick knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for 30 years, Jeremy. He mentioned on Monday night to keep an eye on Riley Moss. I'd seen him play, and I liked his tape at Iowa, but it wasn't as explosive as I wanted him to be playing and play out. And, of course, he came down here, and he's doing exactly those things that Rick talked about. I'll talk about Darius Rush, another guy that I think Rick liked as well yesterday, especially out of South Carolina. Probably came in with a day 3 grade, but he has been balling out each and every session, whether it's one-on-ones, whether it's team drills you see here. He undercut every over route running his direction. And this is a different route, by the way. He made an interception on the sideline, and he has been fantastic. Good footwork. He's been patient. A lot of times, these defensive backs from college are used to being grabby downfield. We've seen no such issues with flags on these plays because the officials are here as well. And I think he's done himself a lot of favors. He came in known for being a great teammate. The coaches love him. And the experience that we've gone through and watching him in 2 days of practice is that this guy can not only play on special teams, he not only can be a great locker room guy, but he's a guy that you can throw out there in situations and know that he can cover NFL wide receivers based on what we've seen so far this week. So a good week for Darius Rush with one more practice to go.
So, Ryan, on the other side, in terms of the wide receivers, a couple of players who play in the state of Michigan, their names keep kind of popping up. Who's standing out for you there?
Well, I'm going to go to California to a guy with a great name in Michael Wilson. And Rick and I have been going back and forth on Michael Wilson, the wide receiver out of Stanford, for weeks now on the With the First Pick podcast. And I liked his tape a lot. He was injured, missed the second half of the season in 2022, but he's fully healthy here. He measured 6'1", about 216. He plays so much faster than that. He's winning his one-on-ones every single time. And the team drills, he's winning on short, intermediate, and deep routes. He's shown good hands. And I like him a little bit better than Rick, but I think Rick's coming around on him. He'll grudgingly admit that he's seen some flashes from Michael Wilson, and I think he's had a great week so far.
Yeah, I'll agree with Ryan somewhat. He has grown on me over the week, but it's a Stanford man, so what do you expect from Stanford? Usually they're too smart to play, but no, he's had an excellent week here, and the guy that really stuck out to me the most so far is a little receiver out of Houston, Tank Dell. And we saw some video clips of him at the top of the show. But he is small, undersized, but he has excellent quickness. He has great hands. He can stretch the field with his speed. You can see here him running down the seam. He finds open areas in the zones. And sometimes for a smaller receiver, it's hard for the quarterback to see him that far down the field. But this guy has a large catching radius for such a small guy, and he's going to have an impact as a punt returner at the next level as well.
Ohio State lineman DeJuan Jones had people talking after day one, but he sat out Wednesday with concussion-like symptoms. Certainly disappointing for him. But Rick, that's opportunity for someone else to impress. Who caught your eye in terms of some of the linemen that you've seen here?
Yeah, there's two guys that really stuck out to me. Osiris Torrance from Florida. He's going to be an automatic day one starter, whoever drafts him at the guard position. But the guy I really liked, that I thought solidified himself as the best offensive center coming out, is John Michael Schmidt out of Minnesota. He's big, he's athletic enough, he's very strong, he's looked excellent in one-on-one pass pro drills. He knows how to slide, move his feet, adjust the pass rush moves, and he's a little bit of a road grader in the run game, but he also is athletic enough to work out in space. So I've been very impressed with what I've seen from him. Everything I saw on tape this fall has carried over down here at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, John Michael Schmidt has been great, and he plays heavier than a lot of these offensive centers that you see who come in around 300 or less. Schmidt's a little bit over that. I'm going to go to Cody Mauch out of North Dakota State, Jeremy, and he played tackle his entire career at North Dakota State. This is the best headshot in the history of headshots, whether it's football related or otherwise. But he came in at about 6'5", 303. That's about right. But the issue is his arm length, which is just over 32 inches. And typically in the league, that's going to get you moved from outside to inside. So he's been working inside this week at both guard and center, and he has not looked out of place. The first few reps in one-on-one drills on Tuesday is a little step slow, but then he got it. And the rest of Tuesday's practice was really good. And then Wednesday's practice, it almost felt like he'd been playing on the interior offensive line for most of his life. And he is a tough young man. He plays with an edge. He's a locker room guy, all the things that you want checked in terms of guys you bring into your team. And he's also shown the ability to play against higher level competition coming from the FCS program. A few years ago, we had Quinn Miners here from Wisconsin Whitewater, and his season had gotten canceled because of COVID. He came in here, balled out, ended up being the third round, 90th overall pick for the Broncos, and he's playing now. There's a chance that Cody Mauch ends up being a top 50 guy, so you could hear his name called early on day two. And what has happened this week for him certainly won't hurt his cause. Certainly
impressive on the field and off. You mentioned that headshot. Not going to forget that anytime soon. We mentioned quarterback Will Levis not taking part in the Senior Bowl this week, and we've discussed how that could impact his draft stock, Rick. But what about this QB group that you've watched this week so far?
Where? Here at the Senior Bowl? It was hard to watch, to be honest with you, if I'm going to be totally honest. I understand the struggles they have because they're learning a new offense. They're getting into rhythm with receivers. I think they improved some yesterday. I think Max Duggan from TCU is the one that's probably stuck out the most, where at least he looks very accurate at the short and intermediate levels. So I'm anxious to see if they can continue to improve today. But like Ryan mentioned earlier in the show, I don't see any of these guys even as a Friday pick right now. All the quarterbacks down here to me are Saturday, late round type talent that may be able to get on as a third or potential practice squad. I don't see anyone stepping in and being a starter, at least with this group down here right now.
Wow, so the quarterbacks have some work to do to impress our former GM Rick Spielman, alongside draft expert Ryan Wilson, joining us from Mobile, Alabama, as they attend the Senior Bowl festivities this week. Great stuff as always, gentlemen. And these two guys have a podcast. It's called With the First Pick. It's part of our CBS Sports Podcast Network, one of our newer podcasts where they're going over Ryan's mock drafts as well as everything they're seeing this week in Mobile. You can download and follow With the First Pick wherever you get your podcast audio.